Hello. Thank you for joining me for the Why Do You Have Shoulder Pain webinar. Even those who don't have pain or limited movement can have a shoulder problem brewing. I'm going to tell you the truth about shoulder pain today before we're finished. My name is Heather Arlinghaus. I am a physical therapist and a massage therapist with over 20 years experience. I own a private concierge physical therapy practice in Carmel, Indiana. I generally see a wide range of joint and muscle pain cases in my practice, but I really have an affinity for the shoulder. So I developed this training focusing more on specific issues of this joint because of the high percentage of patients that I see specifically for the shoulder. So I hope you enjoyed this webinar as a general introduction, and at the end I will give you a very special promo code for those who wish to attend my live workshop or webinar on how to treat the shoulder. So stay tuned. So as both a physical therapist and a massage therapist, I see a lot of shoulder cases in my practice, and they are usually at varying degrees of dysfunction. I have found it difficult to convince someone who is not in excruciating pain that they need to pay attention to an issue in their body. So I developed this introduction and my all-inclusive training workshop in order to spread the word about common issues and dysfunction in the shoulder. My mission is to increase knowledge and awareness about this joint and to inspire people to be more proactive in caring for the shoulders. Let's talk about some common causes of shoulder pain. Now, this list does not include any traumatic causes such as falls or accidents. We won't be discussing that group in this webinar today. We're going to be discussing the top three, however. So the first one is poor posture. Second is repetitive unsupported activities. And third is muscle imbalance. So we're going to be taking a closer look at these, but I also want you to be aware of the fourth, which is trigger points, and the fifth, which are hormone imbalance. Now, not surprisingly, poor posture is the #1 cause of shoulder pain and dysfunction, and it is also the easiest factor to control. Most commonly, I see folks with a forward-reaching head and shoulders following. So this means that the shoulders come forward here, the head has come forward, and the shoulders are curling in on the side. The back of the shoulder gets pushed backwards behind the center of gravity. This is a big problem in our bodies. The shoulder is not designed to work in this position or alignment, so the muscles are unable to support the bones and allow for pain-free and uninhibited movement. So this can lead to pain with movement, pain when sleeping, pain when lifting any object or your arm, and even restricted motion. In some cases, this prolonged postural change can lead into a frozen shoulder, shoulder impingement syndrome, and rotator cuff tendonitis. I discussed this phenomenon in great detail in my Preventing and Managing Unwanted Shoulder Pain workshop, as well as in my muscle pain workshop, because it's so important for people to understand. Now, our second topic, second cause of shoulder pain is repetitive unsupported activities. Now, this can be habits of daily living, our occupations, our hobbies, or our sports. And by unsupported activities, I mean that your hand or your arms are positioned in front of your body or held away from the body while you perform a task with your hands without any support at the elbow or forearm. So your arms are held in space while your hands are performing a fine motor task or a function. This is hard on your shoulder joint, especially the rotator cuff. So let's take a look. Many daily activities can set us up for risk of injury in the shoulder, and many occupations can set us up for devastating changes in the shoulder, which can lead to shoulder pain and dysfunction. Some examples I have here This is not an all-inclusive list, but I see issues with waitresses, dental hygienists, violinists, or any string instrument musician, video camera man or woman, and a photographer, truck drivers or delivery drivers, plumbers, electricians, seamstresses, secretaries, and automobile mechanics. Now, this does not mean that you need to quit your job if you do one of these. Knowledge, education, and self-care can keep you safe. Also, a modification of your work setup or environment can sometimes make a big difference in wear and tear on your body. So that's why I want to educate you today, because you can actually be a willing participant in taking care of your body and keeping yourself safe. Now, some of the most devastating sports for postural dysfunction I see include some of these, but this is not an all-inclusive list again. Baseball, softball, weightlifting, cycling, tennis, swimming, rock climbing. These are all very stressful to the shoulders. Now, that's not to say that if you do any other sport that your shoulders are free from risk of injury either. And I am not saying not to participate in these sports, but again, knowledge, education, and self-care can keep you safe. Now, the third leading cause of shoulder pain in my practice is muscle imbalance. And the shoulder is an unstable joint by design. We're going to look at that. This means that the bones don't surround it and protect it like they do in the hip joint. So let's take a look. Because the shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, it compromises stability. The shoulder consists of 3 bones that approximate or come close together. One is the humerus, which is the arm bone here. The other is the acromion, which is, where's my cursor? There it is. The acromion here, this is this bone. It actually comes up from the scapula. So it comes from behind the body here. Sorry. Also, you have the clavicle or the collarbone. So these 3 bones here consist of the shoulder joint. But as you can tell, it's not like a well-rounded shaped bony protective joint such as in the hip, like a ball and socket joint. Now, the collarbone and acromion form a joint, but they are they attach together just with ligament material. So it would be like if you took 2 sticks and put them end to end and then wrap them with some rope or string in attempts to hold the 2 ends of the stick together. That's sort of what this joint is like here. Where'd my cursor go? There it is. So both bones must be able to move with precision in order to allow for normal movement of the arm and shoulder. And a restriction here, can't get the cursor to work. A restriction in either one of these bones can lead to pain and diminished use and movement of the arm. Now, restrictions are often caused by muscle tightness and imbalance, and that's what we want to talk about. The problem with muscles being too tight or too weak in this joint is that it will compromise the function and ease of movement in the shoulder and arm. Not only do the muscles stabilize this joint, but they also function to move the bones in a manner to allow for the wide range of motion that you have in this joint. So most of the freedom of movement you experience in this joint comes from the finite coordination and cooperation of the muscles that attach directly and indirectly. Your ability to move, lift, carry, dress, and interact with your environment is closely dependent on the conditions and balanced relationship of the muscles associated in this joint. So it gets quite complicated. Now, this concept is profound when you consider that there are more than 23 muscles that affect the function of the shoulder joint alone. Now, we're not going to discuss this in depth here, but I wanted you to understand the gravity of this concept. In my all-inclusive workshop, Preventing and Managing Unwanted Shoulder Pain, you will learn more about why this is so significant and what can be done to keep all these muscles working in harmony. But for today, I just want to introduce you to some of the most important muscle players that we'll be talking about. Let's get my cursor back online here. The rotator cuff is a group that many people have heard of. Oh, come on, cursor. There we go. The rotator cuff is a group of 4 muscles that attach to the scapula or the shoulder blade here, which is this bone. This is your scapula here. You can see in front of it is the clavicle or the shoulder blade or the collarbone right there. Okay, and then the arm, the humerus, comes down right here. It's not in this picture. So here is the rotator cuff group. You've got 3 that live on the back of the scapula, and you have 1 that lives on the front of the scapula, which is on the front of the shoulder blade, but before the ribs. And these 4 muscles are responsible for stabilizing the humerus here in order to help keep it from falling out of socket, in order to keep it aligned precisely so that you get the wide range of motion here, so that you can function your arm and your hand without conflict. The other muscle groups that we want to talk about are the upper trapezius here, which most people are aware of because when they get tense or stressed, this muscle gets really tight and it pulls the shoulders up towards the ears. But you also have a middle part of this trapezius that attaches across from the shoulder blade here, and also a lower part, the lower trapezius here, which anchors the shoulder blade as well. Now, this muscle, the middle trapezius and the lower trapezius, tend to get turned off when, neurologically turned off, when you have the shoulders here that are pulled forward. When these shoulders roll in, like we talked about in poor posture, and that happens when these muscles get tight. When these roll forward, then that inhibits these muscles here from being able to do their job. So I go into a lot of detail about that, and especially my muscle and balance workshop, but also we talk about it more in my all-inclusive workshop of the shoulder. Okay, let's see, what else did I want to say about that? So I promised you the truth about shoulder pain. And number 1 is shoulder pain is preventable. I believe Benjamin Franklin said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And this is so true for the shoulder. You have got to take care of the shoulder. Taking care of your shoulders can prevent you from ever needing treatment or surgery. Number 2, the truth that I want to share with you today is the onset is usually gradual, even though it seems like it came out of nowhere. You may not be aware of the subtle signs of trouble in your muscles or in the shoulder joint itself, but these can be easily identified by a physical therapist or a skilled massage therapist. I will teach you early warning signs for shoulder trouble in my workshop, Preventing and Managing Unwanted Shoulder Pain. So if you're interested in knowing more about that, you need to register for that workshop. Now, here are some signs that you may have a shoulder problem. Pain between the shoulder blades or pain on the shoulder blade itself, an ache in the shoulder, pain in the shoulder when you raise it to the side, or a catching that prevents full movement, numbness or tingling in the arm or hand, if you're unable to lift with that arm, if you have difficulty with bathing or dressing, including brushing your hair, putting on a bra, putting on an overhead shirt. Some people have to modify how they do this, and this is a warning sign for you. If you're unable to sleep on your side because of pain, or if you have decreased sleep due to shoulder pain itself. If you'd like to know more about your shoulders, how to identify problems, and what to do about it, then you need to join me for my live workshop or webinar, Preventing and Managing Unwanted Shoulder Pain. I do this workshop at my office, a live on-site workshop, and I also will offer it as a webinar in May so that if you can't make it to my location, you can do this online, okay? This training is an all-inclusive event that will teach you everything you need to know about your shoulder, give you the tools to improve your shoulder at home, meaning a workbook with all the instructions, as well as the equipment that you will need to follow my program, and videos to follow along with after you leave. So go to my webpage, shoulderrehab.info, and get more information and register. When you register for my workshop, you will receive a free copy of my ebook, What You Don't Know About Your Shoulder Pain Can Hurt You. This will get you started and primed and ready to take the workshop. And today, I'm going to give you a very special discount code for you to apply and get 50% off your registration fee for my workshop. I promised you at the beginning, so here it is. Go to shoulderrehab.info, click on the registration button, and when it asks for a promo code, enter webinar, capital I, capital T, capital S, 2016. Write this down. Write this code down. Use the promo code in order to get your discount. I want to thank you today for attending my webinar, and I hope to see you at the featured event. And please feel free to share the sign up for this free webinar with anyone who might benefit. Have a great day and take good care of yourself.